Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Siegel, Senior Manager with Calypso, and along with Brian Seifert, Director of Consumer Goods from Sophion, we'd like to welcome you to the first installment of the Consumer Goods Innovation Exchange Series. Brian and I have worked together for the past 8 years, helping companies, oftentimes side by side at the same client, implement and optimize their innovation, new product development, and portfolio processes. Based on these shared experiences together, we are very excited to kick off this series today with two of our consumer packaged goods colleagues, Jim Boucher from PepsiCo and Barbara Burns from Kimberly-Clark. As a brief introduction, my company, Calypso, is a global strategic innovation consulting firm exclusively focused on innovation, product development, and product lifecycle management. We help clients build the capabilities they need to become leading innovators in their industries.
Thanks, Scott. And this is Brian, and as a brief introduction to Sophion, we are a global, publicly traded firm providing automated solutions for enterprise innovation performance. These solutions enable our clients to focus their resources on fewer, bigger, and better innovation investments, creating sustainable, profitable revenue growth.
Thanks, Brian. So we're lucky and appreciative today to have two consumer good industry leaders join us. First, we have Jim Boucher from PepsiCo. Jim is Senior Director, Supply Chain and Global Integration and Innovation for Pepsi. He's been with the company for 28 years, focusing on supply chain integration, innovation, and commercialization over the last 13 years. This includes roles in Gatorade, Tropicana, and now the PepsiCo Global Groups. During that time, Jim has implemented MPD models for an acquired business and a joint venture. He's also led the process improvements for several PepsiCo business teams. Most recently, Jim led the transformation of PepsiCo's innovation operating model, creating Pepsi's first global innovation model. The new global PepsiCo innovation processes includes new innovation, portfolio management processes, and common gate process. So thank you, Jim. And then also we have Barbara Burns from Kimberly-Clark. Barbara is Global Phase Gate Process Owner and Corporate Innovation Team Leader. Barbara serves as the Global Phase Gate Process Owner on the Corporate Innovation Team at Kimberly-Clark, where she champions capabilities aimed at developing a sustainable phase gate and portfolio management process for the enterprise. She has 20 years of experience at Kimberly-Clark with roles in new product development, corporate research, and engineering, and we are glad to have Barbara here as well. So thanks, and Jim, I'll pass it off to you to tell us a little bit about PepsiCo.
Great, thank you. PepsiCo is certainly a global food and beverage company, and we tend to think of our portfolio in three broad groups, one being global beverage, the other global snacks, and finally global nutrition. $65 billion in revenue. Currently, we have $22 billion brands. We're active in over 200 countries, and we've got nearly 300,000 employees. And the new product development process isn't new to PepsiCo. It's been around for 15 years. And if you go to the next page, you know, we spent the last 3 years really working to take unique processes that we had in each region and create one global process. So in 2012, we standardized that process across the board. So we all identified what that process was. And we did that through a cross-regional team that got together over a period of 3 months to develop what that process should be and how we wanted to roll it out. We actually had our first global stage gate meeting in end of 2012, and those continued, of course, through 2013. We rolled out the process to all the regions in 2013. We also started our Accolade design and pilots in 2013. This year, we're completing the rollout of Accolade, and we continue to fine-tune the process. And that's something that, you know, I don't think will ever end. We've got a team put together of, again, cross-regional commercialization representatives, and we talk about the process. We talk about what's right with it, what's wrong with it, and we agree on what changes we need to make because we want to continue to have one process globally for PepsiCo. If you go to the next page, a real quick overview of our process. We look at a couple things. One, doing the right projects. which is really about taking an idea and getting it through a filtering process on the stage gate, right? And typically we do this in a group. It's done in tranches, not a project at a time. We get all those ideas together. We do high-level filtering, make sure it hits our strategy, make sure it hits some financial hurdles, make sure really we've got a reason to believe, and then we align the right group of projects to move on into the stage gate. That brings us to the second part of the process, which is doing the projects right, or the common stage gate process. And the big news here for PepsiCo is we've aligned on one standard process. We've got consistent metrics, consistent deliverables, and exit criteria for all the 5 stages. And we're implementing transparency across the system by using Accolade and one instance of Accolade globally to share projects between regions and with the global teams. So that's an overview of the process. I want to move into how do you get there, right? And everything really starts with the sell-in process. And if you don't have senior leadership support, a new product development process is not going to go anywhere. So the first thing we try to do is identify the supporters and the doubters. And especially with the doubters, you need to understand their concerns and address their concerns. And typically, you need to sell the benefits, right, because they just aren't going to believe it. And if you sell the benefits, you need to talk about some of the failures you've had to date because you didn't have a process. You also want to talk about other companies that have been successful because they did have a process, some of the things they've accomplished. But some of the things you hear a lot of is, the process is going to slow us down, it's going to cost too much, or even better if you're working with a small team is, well, we are aligned, we're a small team, we know what our priorities are, we don't need a process to help us get together, or else you get the complaint, well, it's just going to kill us from our entrepreneurial spirit. And normally you go through those and tell them why those concerns are unfounded. For me, the biggest thing that you start out with is you need to make sure you've got alignment, right? So typically for folks that don't use a process, they will focus on one thing. They'll focus on the customer or they'll focus on the consumer, but they may not think of the financial requirements of a project, the technical feasibility, and they'll get a long way down the project road before they figure out that this is not a good project for them overall because it doesn't meet all the criteria. It's not financially sound, it doesn't have a consumer benefit, or it may not be technically feasible.